Hi everyone. I went to a wonderful little country quilt fair today and I found all of these wonderful things. That's really, really old, these threads made in Denmark. But, someone was getting rid of it, so I thought, oh, I'll give it a new home. I got some of this. This was interesting too. It's recycled sari silk. I want to play with that. I got some 10-cent DMC colours. I got this lovely bit of 100% wool that was hand dyed. I loved that. And just quite a few bits and bobs there on that reel of different wonderful colours and textures. So I thought, well, what can I do with this? And the first stage would be to narrow things down a little bit. So this is where I'm starting. So, well, from all of that stuff that I brought home, these lovely old threads that we're not sure what they are, let's read it again. Made in Denmark. No, that's an F54. Whatever that is, that looks very interesting. Comes plaited like that. How many strands are in it? Oodles. I'm sure we'll find something to do with it. So I grabbed a couple of those out. Lovely colours. Some of these 10-cent DMCs. They're just floss embroidered yarn. Let's put it down here. I've grabbed a piece of olive coloured felt because I had it out. We'll pop them there. They go quite nice. I grabbed a piece of this out. I don't know how it's going to go because I haven't used it before. What did I say it was? Recycled sari silk. It's got some nice colours in it, but I don't know whether it would needle felt or what you can do with it, so we'll work that out. Now this, I bought this because I just find this so useful. So many colours. I'm going to take a bit of this for the green, and I'm not going to use it like it's for I take that. I'm not going to be using it as knitting, so that's okay. I don't mind taking tiny bits like that. That's 100% wool. Here's a variegated one I thought blended in quite nice. Just narrowing down the field somewhat. A bit of that. Quite like this with it too. Might have a little bit of that. That's good. I'm liking that. If I wanted, could add some of this orangey colour. But let's see what we're doing first. I'll leave that to one side. What are we going to make? The excitement. Nothing too big. I'm just going to do a little. Okay. So, because I have the fibre, wanting to see whether I can needle felt that stuff in. I like to experiment with needle felting when I can. What's that? Bit of material. I can use that. So let's see first whether this stuff will go in or not. Will it or won't it? Here is my needle felting needle. Jab, 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 jab. It is the you can't really see them, but there's some sharp little spurs on that, and that is what is being used, and it is poking through. Now if I look on the back, yep, that needle felted in fine. See how it's all come through to the back? So now that I know I can use it, I'm going to add some more. I think I'll do a flower because the red is just delicious. So just that little, using tiny bits. See, I'm doing a basic spiral, kinda like a rose. You'll get those circles that go in. See, I added this little piece of material just because it was stuck to this, but I think that'd be nice in there. Well, we'll be adding more red, but there's some of these other choices. So I got this one out, just because you can pull them apart like this, you see, and you have some nice wool roving. Now, what can I do with it? Yeah, that worked nice, didn't it? Maybe I'll give it a little twirl first. I'll try and get a thin line of it happening. I'll pop a bit in the centre too. So we do have these things. We had these shreds, which we'll probably use. I don't know how that works. I mean, like, you could sew it, but I wonder if it also would go around. I don't know whether it would stick in. Sometimes things don't want to, or you can just use a little bit of roving. That is the wool fibre. So I could have stitched, but I'm just attempting to see whether that would work. If it's wool, there's every chance it will work. Now, if you haven't watched one of my videos before on needle felting, it is something I really enjoy incorporating into some of my artwork, but I also, you know, just as it is, that the main thing is to, when you're putting the needle in, you pull it out the same direction it went in. You have something foam or a brush. You can get special brushes, I think, that you know, you can push the fibres through. You need something that's not going to go smack onto your tabletop and destroy. But I can't go in, turn it, you know, pull it over here and then pull it out. You know, I can't change direction. I can't go in and then pull it out that way because it will snap. This is very fine. Isn't that interesting? This yellow would probably be more in the center, I think. So this is variegated. We could use the dark bits on the outside like we have and bring that yellow into the center. I love variegated things because they're so useful to use the bits that you want. Alright, there we go. Yeah, well, that's worth a good experiment, seeing that thread went in. Let's start again with some of this. See what we can do now. I can pull it back into shape. I can spread it out and try different things. But I don't need very much, you see. So we're layering it up. We're trying different approaches. Just going to get a bit of this in. This is going to be the leaf, I think. and just tease it apart like that. Here I'd like a point, so I'm just going to push it all into a point. I don't mind if that green shows through behind either. I'm just using a very old one here. Old foam, piece of foam. You can buy special ones. What else? What have we got here? Maybe we'll put it in a bit. This colour. You can use an embellisher. You use a single one of these. You can use, I'm not sure where it is, but yeah, something like that that's got 3 or 4 or 5 different needles in. If I'm just doing something small, I don't mind doing this. It's very therapeutic for me. And what else will we try? A bit more red. A bit more red. And background, I'm just using plain old acrylic felt. Just because it's what I had close by. But it works quite well, not a problem. Leave that bit like that and just tease the other bit out. I'm not taking a lot of time over it to make sure it's all perfect. I'm just playing with the excitement of a whole new colour range to play with. You can blend these colours and put them on top of each other. You can just keep adding, and I just like it. You see there's a thread wrapped around this, keeping it all together. So if I want it together, I can keep that thread on. If I want it more fluffy, I can do that. Just fill in some of those gaps, and then we might get into doing a little bit of stitching soon. Let's see how we've laid down a nice fibrous kind of background for our flower. And what else haven't we used? If I wanted to put a bit of that in, I could. It's a lighter colour, so maybe it's a highlight somewhere if I need one. Maybe I want it on the outside. Yeah, the leaves aren't really doing much for me, so I might just add something else in there. I don't really know about this. But the beauty of it is that I can just pick it off. If I decide I didn't like it, I just pick it off. The more you stab, the more permanent you will make it. Because the more threads that are going through. But I call this bit just tacking, because I can tack that down and see, do I like that? No, maybe I don't like that bit, you know. I can take it. Maybe that's meant to be the stem or something, you know. So, if I wanted to, I could add some more red. Do what I like. I quite like these little curls. Not sure what this flower is. Now you can do plenty more with this if you like. Let's have a look at the other side. Can you see all of it poking through? That's what you want. That is what you want. But you can do it more. Depends on how much enthusiasm you have. But look at how quick this can come together. You know, quite pretty. And we haven't used our threads yet. Well, we used one. This one's very, very, very thin, isn't it? Just see. Because the whole point is to try out some different things, so. Well, for a start, I can just see if it'll, see what it does when I do that. Well, that could be quite tedious. But, you know, you could, if I wanted to. When you use something that doesn't really want to stick, you can always put a bit of fibre over it, because the fibre goes through quite well, and that allows you to trap it. So we're only figuring out what we've got and whether this is going to work, so I'm happy to just experiment. If it don't like it, just pull it up. Or if I wanted to, I can stitch. So let's lift it up, put that safely in there, and I can catch that other bit on if I wanted to make sure that it stayed there. around the edge if I want. I could do some seed stitches. I like this yellow in the center, so I'm just going to go in there now. I'm going to do a few French knots on a stem like that. Some of that maybe. Okay. I quite liked the idea of this center being a little bit brighter, and okay, so have you ever done French knots? French knots, you pull it in, pull it from behind, do it 2 or 3 times or whatever you like around your needle, and put the needle back close to where you came back, but not in the same spot, because otherwise you'll just go through to the back. And I quite like the ones that are misshaped and bobbly because I like that randomness. If you wanted it tight, you'd hold it tight as it's going in and keep holding it while you pull, and then you end up with a lovely little French knot. But to me, I think they're just as beautiful when they're messy, so I quite like doing some and then putting it in, and if I let go now, it'll loosen and do a big messy knot. Voila, which stands out quite nice. And sometimes that's what I'm after. So I don't get worried about being perfect with my knots, because I like them all. There we are. Now you wouldn't have to do this. You could do sequins or buttons or little stitches or so many things. Just flow with it and enjoy, that's the main thing. I'm going to do a few more of these ones that are, and the way I do the ones that are further out, I do it like that around the needle, and then instead of putting the needle back close to where I came up, I put it a little way away, and what I end up with is there. It's on a sort of stem, you see. It looks quite good like that. Further away, and you pull it tight or don't, whatever you prefer at the time. But see how we get those lovely little centers of the flower now coming out? That's really pretty. A bit of running stitch down. Now if we've made it a little bit so that the fibre isn't sticking, the wool hasn't stayed in the felt, you can always touch it up later. But that also helps to hold it down, if you see what I mean. So what else? Okay. See? More of these lovely threads. This one's a variegated, so I like it. Now as it's in strands, I could use some of it or all of it, you know, as I like. I think in this instance I'm going to use it all. So let's finish her off with, oh, I don't know. And we could just do a little bit of slow stitching around it, a few petals, accentuate some bits. There, I think that adds to it. And I think I'm just about finished. Once again, you could add more embroidery if you wanted, but it's just a little practice piece just to use some of our new fibers and see how they went. I hope you've enjoyed watching this little experiment and this nice little flower come together. If you have, don't forget to press like. If you haven't subscribed yet and you would like to, you can do that too. All of my details are below. My name's Tracey from Art Fiber Stitch, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.